Welcome back, everybody. Harley XOXO Quinn, thank you for subscribing, Tier 1. We rejoin the party outside the entrance of the unexplored area of this icy tomb. Murdoch has halted here. You see an icy covered door, mostly a stone slab.
Alright, lads, this is as far as we've come. Keep your wits about you.
He motions 2 fingers towards the door, takes a step back. Four of the diggers on each side, their pickaxes, the edges of this slab of a door, and begin to pry.
As that's happening,
Asher's for a little bit. Go ahead.
Gonna look at the group and be like, does anyone else need help seeing in the dark? No.
Not unless you can give us sight beyond sight.
I can only do, I believe, what you guys normally see. I wasn't sure about if Cole was... But he'll cast Dark Vision on himself then.
Nope, I am good out to 60 feet, so I'm good that way.
As they work at the door for a moment, you feel a rumble beneath your feet as the ground kind of... Some ice chunks break from the ceiling, just small, just kind of... And you hear off in the distance a thunderous rumble that shakes through the surface of the temple.
Like it's emanating from below, not from above.
It's everywhere, as if it's traveled a kind of a shock wave that's traveled and made its way to you guys.
Okay.
The diggers stop for a moment, and Murdoch kind of looks around, kind of like hold still for a second, then looks at the party.
Seems like your little mountain is not happy lately, huh?
No, and I imagine if you're taking notice of it as well, that we need to be as expedient as we can in getting there.
Right, on with it.
Motions again with his fingers. The diggers kind of look at each other, then begin to pry.
As they're prying, I'm gonna turn to Murdoch. You don't know anything about this temple, do you?
About as much as we've seen so far. Again, some kind of tomb.
What is in the tomb, do you know? Have you, or any guesses?
Well,
He motions over to the left side. So on the wall ahead of you and behind you and to your right side, it is actually some stone architecture and actual visible stone with pillars of ice that scale alongside of it, where just over time ice has kind of just formed on the inside of this. But the wall on the left is almost completely ice. He motions you over towards it, and he kind of presses his face up against the ice and kind of peers in, then motions for you to come up.
I'm gonna adjust Ray on the back and walk over to go look.
have a look.
Roll perception check.
I'm gonna use my icy dice for this one. It did not fail me. That is a 17 plus 4. 21?
21. With the 21, peering through the ice, there's different refractions that happen of the ice, the way that it's frozen, so it's not like it's a pure, just like flat sheet of glass, but you can at least make out enough of the shape of this kind of almost off-white, tannish stripe that goes along the deeper into this thicket of ice.
Not look familiar to you.
What does it say? So what does it say? As I look into it.
There's no words. It is just like it goes on further off to now facing this, further off onto the left and further off onto the right, but it's mostly just like a strip, hard to make out exactly what it is.
Turn to Karun. Hey, Karun. You got a second with her? Right out that door. Come look at this.
Find something interesting?
I definitely think so. But maybe it might ring a bell for you.
And then you said it was how?
Just a line.
Like it's just a line, but like you said, it's pretty refracted and broken up.
Yeah.
Like how clearly could
so
you
it's
really
refracted.
see?
It's obvious to tell that this is one solid piece, whatever is in there, back behind there. Kind of an off-white, almost tan color to it.
Okay, but it's just solid. There's nothing descriptive as far as. Is there anything that Karun, just to make it straightforward, is there anything that Karun could visibly make out aside from the basic delineation of how it is traversing the wall and its rough approximate color? I guess as far as
Roll perception.
okay. Oh, that's awesome. That is going to be a 24. 19
24.
plus 5.
With 24, just a slight bit more that you're able to tell, looking further up off and to the right while facing this this ice wall. You can see that there's an area where this strip gets deeper, goes a bit further, and you can see beyond that there's another stripe that leads down the same way.
Murdoch kind of... Earlier back there, we dug through that. Any guesses what that might be?
He broke through that? Like,
Broke through the
the
ice
wall?
to go see what that was.
I mean, can I go back over to that section where it's nice and clear? I think that's probably the big...
a ways back.
Oh,
he's
it's a ways
he's
back.
basically just like, do you want to take a guess at what this is?
I mean, I'm sure if I had it clear, it looks like it could be some kind of directional branching, but I can't really tell. What did you
At
uncover
first,
when
we
you got
thought
close?
perhaps it's another chamber. Another way to get through. Nah, it's bone. Skeletal remains.
As if from multiple turned into some type of mortar or one.
Massive humanoid.
Okay.
That there,
And,
judging by what we ran into back there,
he kind of traces along it.
that's probably a femur.
And you see it's the whole length of the room and then some. And then what you were seeing that was going up further, now you can kind of make out was probably the hip bone, and then the...
It's a massive... It is one massive...
one massive
creature.
skeleton.
Could Cool overhear that by chance?
Yeah, sure.
Are you implying that we were in the tomb of a giant? This creature would make a giant look like a baby, an ant.
This is something gargantuan. I mean,
Again, they used to call
protectingly
them,
giant.
based on the fairy tales, creation myths, all that. They used to call them world walkers. Literally shaped the face of the earth. More colloquially,
Yeah.
titans.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever served them. This here,
Like gestures around.
they turned a sarcophagus into a tomb, and probably from that a temple. It's probably all three in one.
There was 3 of them.
All three.
He said probably all three in one.
Sarcophagus, a
Oh,
temple,
gotcha.
and a tomb.
A 2. Gotcha.
I mean, it would be
Not
closest to
only
a ruler
this-
your head.
The sarcophagus for whatever that was. A tomb for those loyal who served, and a temple for those generations beyond.
Mhm. To be with their god.
Well then. This is the first.
Actually, that begs a good question. This is the first you've ever seen of anything like this? Correct.
To be truthful, we've come across another before, but we didn't encounter the skeleton itself. Perhaps one being prepared, one that had not yet been taken use.
Is it?
So that's why we're
Is it
somewhat
near?
familiar with the design, but this is the first time we found one with a body in it.
Is it near
who's
here?
got the map?
Or is it far from here?
No, so further up north. Northeast.
More north? Okay, so more towards
Carved into the face of a
Blanc.
mountain. That crystal already taken.
He motions to the door.
That's how I know this one's probably still there.
The crystal was never put in that first one.
The diggers.
Could you mark it on a map?
Who
Who has the map, by
Yeah.
the way?
I think Cole does. Cole has the map. Because he was
He
leading
marks
the...
further up into the mountains, closer to the shore, and I would have to mark it for you. But he marks just kind of this inset into the almost the base of Von Silath itself.
Okay, that's fine. And could you mark where we are as well currently?
And he does,
He probably
which is right. Which you see, you only have a little bit further before you actually reach land on the north side of the river that you're crossing.
That's good to know.
The diggers work at it for some time more. You see them kind of carving away at the ice, and now they kind of dig their pickaxes into the edge, and one final the stone slab recesses from the wall and begins to crumble. And as it crumbles, this mist comes out from the door. The pickaxe themselves, you see, shatter in their hands. It travels up their arms. Their arms break underneath the weight as they attempt to swing. One of them turns to run away, and the mist kind of coats it. And just the back half of him, you see, as the mist stops, the back half of this this dwarven digger is completely frozen solid. You see the eyes. The other three shatter into ice. This one kind of slowly. Murdoch.
Oh, I'm sorry, Murdoch. I'm just astonished of what just happened in front of him as fast.
How many of these traps have you encountered already?
Dozens.
I'm gonna look to Aurelia and Cole.
See
And Asher.
one of the other diggers kind of nervously gripping his pickaxe. Murdoch looks at him.
Go grab more diggers.
And that one kind of
Right.
heads back from where you guys came.
All right. Stay frosty.
Starts to head past.
Too soon.
Past this door. He does give us a little dark humor smirk with that as he says.
I
it.
guess
Didn't
you
realize
need
we
that
had
Aelos
Captain
humor.
Price with us.
Stay soap.
Asher's gonna kind of go to the back with Karun and kind of pull him to the side and be like, are you getting the feeling that whatever is contained in here is not supposed to be dug?
They certainly do not want people treading on their domain. I was hoping that I might be able to spend some time trying to gather some information, but this is going to take every ounce of our effort if we don't stumble into something that kills all of us. We need this crystalline. We need this crystal. As we've determined, right?
Yeah, I feel like we're treading on something. We might be choosing one evil over another.
I guess it wouldn't be the first time on this adventure.
Dude, nope, definitely not.
As long as we're all on the same page of tread very, very lightly.
Aurelia, you lead, look for traps. I'll be behind you to give you an extra set of eyes.
You got it?
I'll just be up with you in case you need healing or you miss something magical.
Cole would basically crouch down, put his hands on Aurelia, and just follow her footstep cautiously.
Asher will walk next to her with Detect Magic up and just keeping an eye out for anything she might miss that's unseen by human eyes.
Wilson, with the two of us, would we be able to give her the help action and advantage on checking traps?
Absolutely.
And the bat will shiver next to you. Well, it's on your cloak, Aurelia, as Bree is now blind and deaf and in her bat. So if you want it sent, you just communicate to Bat, and Bat will go do things.
Great.
Okay.
Turn to Karun. Bundle her up, will you? I'm gonna kind of. Oh, he's the same height as me. I'm gonna just gesture to bundle up Bree on my back.
As you guys lead the way through this corridor onto the next chamber, the walls within this hallway corridor are coated with a probably 6-inch layer of ice. You can see still some of the patterns of the original architecture that was assembled by humanoid hands at the time, but now coated in a layer of ice. As you make your way forward, roll investigation check.
Olsen, could I also make a passive perception to look for hieroglyphics,
Go ahead.
things carved into the side, stuff like that?
Not that you needed Hannah, but also cast guidance for the investigation.
Are you having just Hannah do these, or are you having multiple people do these?
Just Hannah, since she's leading the way.
Okay.
It's narrow
29.
enough that you could do 2 by 2, but it's narrow enough that it makes the most sense to do kind of one in a single file, essentially. What was it?
29.
29. That all? That's
it. Just 29.
Looking forward, you see that there is a entrance, an end to this corridor, but as you make your way through, nothing out of the ordinary as far as anything that you could pressure plate or trip, anything like that, onto this corridor to the next room. Looking on the walls, what was your perception?
23.
23. Looking on the walls, there doesn't appear to be any kind of writing. There's
Can I just keep that?
Yeah, if you want to continue, look.
Yeah, just keep that going as we go deeper.
If you are of the mind to, just let me know that you would like to look specifically. Otherwise, it would just be passive. So let me know when you do want to look more specifically. But
Okay.
Heading through this tunnel, let me roll a die. What's the marching order?
Aurelia, Cole, Asher, Coteron, and then Rowan holding Bree on back.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it'd be Bree with Rowan at the rear.
Midway through this corridor, not noticing any kind of traps, through the right side of one of the walls, this incorporeal shadow almost flies through the wall, makes a strike at Cole. That is a 16 to hit.
Sure
Does
doesn't.
not hit. You feel as you almost narrowly miss as this incorporeal form, this ghost, attempts to make a swipe at you, and then moves on through to the left side of the wall. Go ahead.
Did Detect Magic show anything?
It was a magical entity.
Is it something that... Okay, so it went from left to right?
It went from your right to left. Sorry if my...
Right to left. And
Yes.
I'm... So 5 feet from me is going to be Asher. 10 feet from me is going to be Cole. Would Karun be able to do a reaction on it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool.
I like that.
That is 18, 13 plus 5.
That'll hit. Roll damage. As in this moment of it turning corporeal, you see what was initially just like a shadow ethereal element solidifies for a moment to make this attack on Cole. Cole dodges out of the way, but then Karun with his glaive stabs forward.
And I'm going to do a level 1 spell, so it's going to tack on an extra D8. And then the D10. Nice. So it's going to do 29 damage.
Nice.
And 19 of that is going to be radiant.
Okay. That is fine. Okay, so 10. You feel that the radiant damage does extra damage. So
I guess at that I would hit it. Yeah, go.
yeah, as it attempts to make the swipe at Cole, misses, and you with your glaive expel some radiant energy at the tip of the glaive, and it as it flies through to the next side of the wall. Murdoch kind of stops kind of behind you.
There. That's what's been taking out our men up until now.
Well, it's certainly necrotic. Although I didn't take it out. Cole, you managed to
Yeah,
evade
if you
any
even
damage.
can kill it.
Yeah, just about scared the shit out of me, to be honest.
Well, we can hit it, Murdoch. That's as much as I can promise now, and it didn't seem to care for it, so...
You've had better
We'll
luck
see.
than most of us, then. Yeah.
Well, we'll be the sword. Just so long as your axe stays behind us.
Aye.
As you move forward to the next, you exit this chamber, this tunnel, and enter this next chamber. Within this next chamber, you see a squared room with 6 pedestals, 3 on each side, a door at the far end of the room. Atop each of these pedestals is a crystalline sculpture of ice and crystal, each of an intricately detailed hand. In the center of this room is a sculpture of a bust, humanoid. Around its neck hangs a small chain with a periapt.
With the mention of necrotic energy, Rowan's going to deduce that his sword could probably fare against it with the sun. So he's going to gesture for Bree's legs and kind of pull them to almost create like a cinch backpack around the waist. And he's going to pull out one of his sunblade, and he's going to hold her 2 hands around his neck, with freeing up a hand.
From the center of the room, overhanging this ice sculpture bust, is a kind of crude chandelier with 6 large shards of ice as its ornaments.
Before anybody moves, I'm gonna check for traps.
Okay, go ahead and roll investigation check.
And Asher still got detect magic helping her out, so that's advantage.
It's a
And
natural
guidance.
20.
Never mind.
You do not find any traps.
Oh, no.
Okay.
The bat's
Go ahead.
gonna flutter off of your cloak and fly around the room, scoping everything out, going to the chandelier and landing on
Roll
it.
perception.
Okay.
Bat's perception.
Yep, I have
Well-
to use the bat stats.
While the bat is
Bat
doing that,
stats.
Rowan is going
No.
to approach the skeleton with the necklace.
It is not a skeleton, it's just a sculpture. It's a sculpture of a
It's a
bust.
bust,
Sculpture.
so
Um,
shoulders
a bust.
and
Would you
Yeah,
like to
okay, I'm gonna go to
investigate? Or-
I'm going to look at that necklace, and yes, I'm gonna look at that.
So the chain and the metal of this necklace is of rose gold. It's this rose gold chain and rose gold metal design of hands, like this essentially, clasped together at the wrists, holding a gem of some sort that's in the shape of a heart.
I'm gonna take my sword,
It's a red heart.
almost going to touch it, but I am going to call for Aurelia whenever she has a moment. Can you come check this out?
Yeah.
I'm gonna point with my sword to that bust. So
I know. Meanwhile, Karan would probably be looking at like one of the hands or something. Or
Yeah, I was
the
about to say
hands.
cool
And
would
roll
would-
perception, both of you.
That was a 16 on the bat.
16 on the bat. You at least have some advantage on the chandelier up there higher. You're able to see that there's no distinct pattern to each of these crystals. They have their own kind of unique shape. Again, very kind of crudely sculpted. It's almost as if they were like the beginnings of a sculpture, but they were just like abandoned or failed. As you look at these 6 shards around the base of this chandelier that hangs.
I got 24.
I got a 26.
24 and 26. Looking around, the altars or the pedestals with the hands, they each have each of the hands has a different like hand shape or like hand symbol that each of them are making, and within the base of this pedestal, it's almost like this box, and you can look in and see that there is this flowing liquid that's falling down like a waterfall, just constantly within the base of these altars. With that perception as well, you see that there is some text above the door opposite the room you came. The
Is
door you
it is it readable?
came. If anybody can speak a certain language.
Well,
Tell
let's
me-
discern.
Tell me it's giant. Tell me it's giant.
What languages can you guys speak that are not common or elven or
Common, orc, and giant. That's what I can speak.
common orc and giant?
I got deep speech.
I got you already.
Infernal.
I have halfling.
It is none of those.
So, if
Mhm.
remember, I can do the language thingies. You just gotta hurt me awake.
With the perception, it is familiar to something that you have read before. So the shapes and the texts that you are seeing, it is familiar to a book that you have that was written in the same language, or seems to be at least a form of it.
I'm gonna whistle for the bat. Try to get the bat's attention to come down as she's doing.
What are bat noises like?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's literally
like
what they do.
high-pitched
That's literally
cheeps.
what they do.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead.
You only have
What
your
does she do?
The bat's gonna, the bat's gonna take its own consciousness and start doing its own thing and echo, locate around, and Bree's gonna wake up. Those shards are very sharp. Maybe we should be careful. They might drop. It might hurt.
But she
What's
did
going
not
on?
find any traps with her natural 20, so it doesn't seem like there's
Yeah.
any trap associated with it unless there's magic element. With your detect magic, Asher, you are not finding anything that appears to be magical except the amulet.
What
Since
school?
Bree's
Do I know
awake.
a school of magic of that, or?
Not for the item, I don't think.
Okay, so I'll just point out that that's magical.
I'm gonna put you down now. We could use your help.
Oh,
Is
okay.
there any hands that match the shape of the hands that are also on the amulet?
As I put Bree down, I'm gonna say, just let me know if you need a ride again. But
And
I'm gonna point to
looking around, no. None of them match the shape of the hands in the periopt.
Okay.
Uh,
You're
I'll
gonna do your
do
thing.
Comprehend languages on myself. I'll have it up for an hour. So.
Perfect.
And you said it's above the door, so arcing above
Yes,
the
it's
door.
kind of arcing
on
above the
far
door,
wall.
yes.
Okay, so that other door, not the one we came in.
What does the hieroglyphics say, Bree?
It says.
As you would have to go up and touch the door because you have to touch the surface of whatever you're trying to read.
Okay, so I will start stroking it slowly.
As you touch
go
the
over there
one
with her, by the way.
stone slab of the left door, it says "with a show of hands." Would you like to touch the right?
With the show of hands, yes,
The way will open.
the way will open.
Well, that affirms what we're thinking, at least. Though it doesn't give us any more to work with.
Are there any hands that are like?
What are the hand shapes? You said it was different shapes or formations.
Sorry, I opened the command prompt. There's various different shapes, not to go through all of them, but they are kind of like each of them has like their own distinct like finger shape and finger formation, like as if they're forming like runes with the fingers on each of the sculptures.
Are any of these shapes like a numbered 1 through, like, because I just saw
Like
you
sequence?
do like this.
Yeah, nothing discernible as like a number sequence.
Okay.
Nothing characteristic that maybe Bree might recognize because she's
said-
familiar with the character set.
You said runes, right?
Or just symbols. It's just
Okay.
It's just so but could it maybe they are making a hand gesture that's similar to a rune? I don't know.
roll an intelligence check.
Okay. I'm a smart girl. Dice, please tell me I'm a smart girl.
I think you're the smartest of them.
20.
It doesn't
Super
appear to
smart.
correlate. It doesn't appear to correlate with any of the text.
How high up is the chandelier?
The chandelier is at the base of it, probably about 15 foot.
Without flying, is there any way for Cole to do some acrobatics to get up there to get a better look
Go ahead and try.
at the gems
It'd
that
be
are
a
up there?
big old jump, but yeah, go ahead and try.
You know what? I can double my
It'd
jump.
be an athletics, yeah. It'd be an athletics check. Well, I guess in this case, since you're dex based, I'd say you can go ahead and do acrobatics. Do some motion.
Yeah, instead of jumping, I was more thinking of like wall running and then like kind of maybe finding ledges, something like that.
Okay, go ahead.
How many hands were there?
6, 3 on each side. They kind of line this hall leading up to the door, or this chamber leading up to the door.
What if we all get on? What if we all just get in the front of it and show it the deuces? Like,
Well, I was going to say
I was
there's
thinking in front of the door.
or perhaps we all need to cup the water. That's because it is water, right? Or is it like
Some
a
kind of
liquid
liquid, you're not sure.
some kind of liquid? Could the alchemists in the group make rules to determine
Go ahead.
if this might be?
Yeah.
Sure, will give you advantage.
All right.
Well, you guys are doing that. I'm going to do wall climbing. So 26.
With a 26,
So-
you're able to find a good place along one of the walls where you can get a little bit more height as you climb up the ice of the wall. You'll see Cole just swiftly climb up. There's this tiny little ledge where he places himself there, runs, and jumps, grabs onto the chandelier. You are now swinging from the chandelier.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Can I make a perception on the gems?
Go ahead. And with your guys'
Yeah. What do you want me to use for my roll on this check?
what are you trying to check?
It's alchemist. I'm checking. I mean, basically, the big thing is like, is this
Let's go
something's
ahead and
going
roll
to kill us?
medicine, maybe, because that's
Medicine?
the closest thing I would say.
Works for me.
Yeah, it
Medicine
does.
with advantage. I will absolutely take.
I'm gonna go back to the necklace.
Holy crap! I rolled that twice. So I rolled a 19 plus 11, so it's
Plus
a
11.
30.
Is that all? And with that, with that,
Still.
you're able to determine that it's not anything kind of toxic. It's not anything harmful, but it is flowing like kind of constantly. You would gauge that it's a liquid that's just recycled through some kind of system. It's mostly blue, but it has tinges of purple to it. You're not sure what it is, but you can tell that at least it's not dangerous. It is.
Dude,
It's
this is
some
the water
kind of
from
enhanced.
Waterboy.
It's some kind of enhanced water.
It's water from a glacier.
This is the water from Waterboy, bro.
High quality H2O. Literally, it's that Bobby
Holy
Boucher water again.
It's still cold.
Steel cold. Yes, that water.
That's So Karun after that would probably affirm that I mean, it could be something with, interrupting or show our hands, and that's the best way that all of us can contribute, I guess. I mean, or we can, not non-canonically flash gang signs at the statues. We can do that too. Whichever one you want to try first is good.
22 on the perception on those gems, just to.
Looking, you are able to determine essentially what Briar was able to determine in her bat form. That they have. It's hard to make out any kind of features on these sculptures, but again, it's just these shards. They form a crystalline shape, almost 2 cones attached to each other, essentially. So they're shard on either end, like sharp on either end, but they're carved and they have curvatures that happen in the shapes, but it's hard to make out any kind of like shape from.
I'm gonna go back to the necklace.
Do they have any value to them that you could determine,
they
or
basically look like ice, so
just look like
Yeah,
ice? Okay, and they didn't trigger off the detect magic, correct? Only the necklace did.
they did not.
Okay.
Looking at the
unless there is one of them that is in the shape of a heart, I will.
nothing like
jump-
that. No
drop
distinct,
down.
no
Okay.
distinct shapes in that. What are you trying to determine with the periapt, the necklace?
I want to take it off the bust.
You reach around. and-
Wait, before I
ahead.
do that, Aurelia I asked her to do a check. Did she do a check on it?
No traps.
It's good? Okay, I'm gonna take it off.
You unclasp from behind, hold up this rose gold amulet with a little red gem within it.
I'm gonna approach the door. I'm gonna see if there's a placement for it. Like a
Roll
key.
investigation.
I rolled a 17 plus 17 plus 2, 19.
With a 19, looking around, it's a smooth surface, uncovered by ice, though ice encompasses the archway that the door rests. There is no place for any kind of insertion.
I'm gonna look at the periapt a little bit more. If there's any writing behind it or anything like that.
Negative.
Okay, I'll just hold on to it then.
I'm going to use my poisoner's kit to collect some water, and then I'm going to go in front of the door and flash the first gang sign, the hand sign. So whatever it is, you tell me, and I keep this up. What is it, Tolson? I like
Nothing
this
happens.
very much. I know. I'm going to hold it until everybody comes up.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, just make a symbol. I don't care. That's not the important bit of information.
So there is 6 of us total. How many different hand signals
6.
is there?
6.
There's 6.
There's 6.
Okay, so
We should
6
hold-
people, 6 hands, 6 symbols.
Yep. Okay. We should hold up all separate signals. See if the door opens. Rowan, with you holding the necklace, that could possibly link it to all of us.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool would follow with Bree and hold up a separate signal.
Are
That's a symbol.
are these single? Are they right? Are the hands? Are the hands on like swivels? Maybe we need to turn like the actual statues towards the door.
With earlier investigations, I would go ahead and say that they don't look like they're movable altars. They're squared. They don't have any kind of rotation mechanism on them.
Neat.
And these are 2 sets of hands doing symbols, or is it one hand?
It is
at
one
each of the-
singular hand on each of these altars. with
Okay.
a different
So it has to be the
symbol
same
and
hand.
shape.
It has to be that same hand.
Are any
The
of
left
them
or the
like-
right?
Left hand, right hand, or is it all like right hands?
He just said
It seems to be a different hand each time. There's no rhyme or reason to the to the hand.
Gotcha.
Which hand is being
But
used?
no middle hands. No middle hands, right?
No middle hands, guys.
Okay,
Just
Yeah, maybe-
left or right, guys. Left or right.
And the hands are able to be picked up, correct? Like they're not
No,
actual...
they're massive
They're
sculptures.
fixed.
Okay, massive sculptures. Okay, I was making sure maybe we needed to hold it in one hand, you know.
On top of these
Yeah.
altars, and right at the base of the altar is that opening where you can see the water pouring in.
Yeah, Asher will join the other two and throw up gang signs.
At this point, is everybody throwing up the appropriate gang signs?
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which is
I don't
west
know what
side. No other
the
side.
gang sign would be. I mean, I don't know.
I love that everybody coming up with their own gang signs right now. Anyways, as you stand there in front of the door, holding up the symbols on each of the statues, sculptures in the room, it's quiet. Nothing happens.
Okay, so
Look at
No harm, no foul.
I'm gonna go back to the altars. Is there a place to put water in them to raise whatever's in them?
To raise whatever is in them. The water is pouring down. So like if you were to look at it, it would be like looking through a waterfall. So you don't
It's
actually
like
even know what's beyond that because it's kind of, the water's decently clear, but it just looks like more water behind there. So it's just like a gallon stream of water just coming down constantly.
Is there like a way of changing the flow of water to move something? I don't know. Like, is there like a trough or like a guide?
Like it's just
Nothing-
collecting straight
nothing on
below.
the sides. Yeah, it's just collecting straight below, and it seems
So-
somehow or another it's recycled back and then through, and then collects there at the top again.
So it's like one of those water, like those never-ending water fountains where it
Yes.
falls down into a square that's underneath, and then it just sucks it back up and it drops it down. So we just see at the bottom of a monolithic base a rectangular square cutout recessed in water is just magically falling from the top
Mhm.
to the bottom. It looks like, and it's perpetual. Is there
Cool.
anything at the base of the
Nope,
bust
that's-
statue?
Nope.
Sorry. Okay, just the
Karun,
hands.
you did a test on the water and said that it was harmless, correct?
As far as I can tell, there's nothing inherently dangerous. It's not an acid or a poison. It does have an interesting hue to it, and flows perpetually. I was going to try seeing what happens if we interact with it myself.
Cool. Can you hear me right? You can hear me, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. I just didn't know how far your headphones reach. Cool would bend down into the water and kind of cup it. First, waiting a couple
there's
seconds.
no bending down and cupping, so it would be straight ahead. It would be like going in.
Okay.
So this thing
then
is big.
That's okay.
Snap.
Fine then. He would go in and cup it in both hands then. To collect it, wait a couple seconds
As
for.
you hold your hands in there, the liquid comes down over your hand. You feel that it's not like you've bypassed a wall of the water. It's like that whole insertion area is water, so you can feel the water flowing around your hand and through your fingers. It's an odd sensation. The water is volcanic hot and icy cold at the same time in different intervals, but not harmful.
Okay, so you're not catching water, you're literally submerging your hands into the water that is perpetually
As it falls.
flowing. Okay.
And if I pull my hands out trying to scoop it back towards me, do I collect any of it, or does it basically stay in its shape?
As you, the same way that Briar was able to collect some, you pull out some of the water, and some of the water remains in your hand and kind of leaks through the cracks in your hands and fingers.
Okay. Cool is going to take a sip of the water.
Okay. Nothing happens.
Nothing
It's-
happens.
It is an odd sensation as you drink it as well.
Is there anything to Oh, I don't even know. Is there
There's no
like a bucket?
receptacle around here.
There's no like.
Maybe it's not a mechanical and it's a metaphorical, metaphysical. We can all just try putting our hands in and see. Obviously,
Yeah.
Cole's hands are still there, as is his mouth and throat for now.
The sensation that came from it was hot, but cold at the same time. It's very quite interesting.
And can he reach through the water to feel like there's another side? Like possibly
you touch the wall of the other end.
the wall. Okay.
The container seems to be about at what you would expect the walls of the actual altar itself to be.
I'm gonna sheathe my sword and mimic exactly what Cole just did, and put my hands
Everybody
through
pick a
just like
hand.
that.
Is everybody doing that?
Different hands,
Yeah.
different.
Yep.
for
Each of
different
you placing your hands, you feel that strange warm and cold sensation of the water when it seems like when the purple bits of the water hit, that's where the warmth comes, and when the rest is just that cold sensation. Keeping your hands in there, looking towards the door, it is quiet.
All right, let's try to mimic the hand signals from here.
Do we mimic the hands while we have
Yes.
our hands in the water?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like the water's
Yes.
going to read whatever our hand is doing.
Exactly. So
It's very smart.
I'll take the same one hand signal that I did.
Each of you placing your hands in the opening in the shape of the symbol above. You feel as the water flows through the fingers and the hand, the shape that you're making flows down from above. And you see as some of the blue water starts to turn purple, that warm sensation starts to become the more predominant. You hear from the base of each of your altars a kind of and with that, each of those, the water stops, lands in the basin of these altars, and the door. Small crack appears in the center of the door.
Well, did something. Question is, what about that? And I'll point to the necklace that Rowan's got. How does that factor in?
I don't think it's anything important now. But might be later on. A key. Maybe.
It's either that or
Smart
it's
to hold on to it.
Yeah.
Well, may I hold on to it?
Yes. Go ahead. And Rowan's gonna give her the necklace. Would you like another ride?
I will let Flutter do it. Thing I can still talk to Flutter, so.
Okay.
Flutter, I love
Just
it.
let me
Yeah, you're bad.
Right.
Okay, what are you doing?
I think we are going to continue same pecking order, right? Aurelia first.
Yeah.
As you guys approach the door, just a small crack has formed. You go to start to open it, and Murdoch, wait. motions to two of the diggers, and they kind of grip their pickaxes nervously, and then go over to the door. Each of them on either side sling their pickaxes into the door, the crack. They look at each other and then nod and begin to slide the door open. There is an ice that falls from the roof of it, and they kind of flinch and then look at each other, then look at Murdoch and look at the party. And then they kind of peer in. And then they remove their pickaxes from the edge of the door and start to step back. Take a big sigh.
Alright. Lead the way.
Roll investigation for traps as you move along.
With advantage and a guidance.
Yep.
28.
28. This corridor, very similar to the one before it. Icy walls, no distinct pattern on the walls, nothing akin to a trap formed. As you guys make your way, Murdoch stops for a moment and 4 more diggers come, returning with that previous one that had acquired them. And they kind of tail along behind you guys.
Was there any hieroglyphics on this?
Again, no, yeah.
No, okay.
Can we quickly get a vibe check on Murdoch?
Go ahead and roll initiative. Roll initiative. He wants to fight you. Don't you dare!
I'd say that's a pretty distinct vibe check right there.
Roll initiative. You want to find out how he's feeling?
Can I do one as well with Aurelia? That'd probably be the
Group
closest
vibe check?
to Murdoch. Group vibe check.
Check his vibe.
Check the
Check his vibe.
24.
I got a 15.
With the 24, what exactly are you looking for?
I just want to, Aurelia is watching him to see if his demeanor changes and if it looks like he's up to something. You know what I mean?
Nothing that you would gauge as like he's up to something. There is a anticipatory, lustful greed about his demeanor right now. It's like he's chomping at the bit for what's ahead, essentially. Like this is like his favorite thing in the world to be doing, which is like pushing through a tomb and finding treasure and stuff. So he's just waiting up for whatever is at that next room, no matter the cost, essentially.
Okay, there's no like skittish energy from him in terms of like, you know, like a cornered wild animal or something like that, like that anticipatory skittishness that comes when people are about
He's
to
actually
betray everyone.
compared to the other, like the diggers are very nervous because it's like they know that they're the next to open a door and could be, you know, it could be trapped or something like that, and he's willing to sacrifice them for that. He has a cold disposition about him as far as like, again, it's just that one track mind of getting to the treasure in the next room.
Okay, cool. Let's move ahead.
Moving ahead. Once again, from the left wall this time, that incorporeal form rushes through the left wall. It is going to make an attack. It is, yes. I'm assuming, right? So Aurelia leading the way. It will make an attack against you.
Against Aurelia?
Against Aurelia. That's an 18 to hit.
Okay. That's outside Karan.
Yeah, that hits.
As you see Karan, you see as it begins to form, you kind of alert and you go to lunge for it, but it's too far ahead from just out of the reach of your glaive. Asher, what are you going to go ahead and try?
Asher is going to cast Fairy Fire on it as soon as he sees it, like, making his way. So that way the ring is just outside
As
of
a
where it
reaction,
really
can
is.
you do that?
I can cast a spell as a reaction.
Go ahead and roll me a dexterity check. I'll see if you can do it in time because it's flying right through the corridor.
18.
With that, you are able to. As it comes through, becomes corporeal, and drains some life from Aurelia. You will take 20 points of necrotic damage.
It's going to need to make a dex saving throw of 16.
It failed.
Okay, so it is going to be glowing green. And it can't go invisible.
Okay. It is not invisible, but it is incorporeal.
So
it
just
is never
phases
at any
into the
point-
wall
it
and
is
is
phasing through
obfuscated.
and out of the wall, yeah. So
Okay.
there is that, but at least you will have advantage on attacks coming up, right?
Yep.
But I need you to make a Constitution saving throw, Aurelia.
We can also see it from this point on too, Olsen. So if it's up against a wall, it's got basically like a light hue around it.
Yep.
If
but
it's on the
it's
outs
going
on the surface of
through
the wall,
it's going outside.
it can go into the wall. So it's not invisible, but it can be obfuscated by something.
Yeah.
Mainly the wall and it being inside of it. But we will see a green coming out of the wall as opposed to just like this kind of black shadow. This miasma or whatever it is.
Yeah, and it's concentration for a minute, so I'll be holding that.
Okay. What's your Constitution saving throw, Aurelia?
16.
16. You are lucky. You succeed. Yeah.
Do I have the opportunity when it passes past me to use my reaction to stab it?
Negative.
Okay. Oh.
His reaction was his ability if somebody attacks somebody else within 10 feet of him. That's what his
It's not even
ability was.
attacks. It's if they walk within 10 feet
Oh,
of
there you
me.
go. So yeah. they
Yeah,
were
I
within
know what
10 feet.
Sentinel is. I was just wondering
Yeah.
because they were in my range of melee,
Gotcha.
and then they left. And if I could use my reaction.
Opportunity tag.
Yeah.
Is what
Just
you're saying.
what
you know
Asher
what?
did was an
You know what?
opportunity attack.
I know this is late and I didn't give Cole the same opportunity, but I will give you the opportunity to have an opportunity. So roll me a dex check. Essentially an initiative roll, but it's like an initiative that's like that's it.
Dexterity, that's an 18.
Dexterity check. Let me compare it to its. Let's roll it. Can't restate it. You do get your opportunity to attack. Roll an attack.
With
Cool.
advantage because
What weapon are you
fire.
using?
I'm using my Hunter's Mark dagger, and it's a 29 to hit.
29. That'll hit. Roll for attack.
It's gonna be 12 points of magical damage.
12 points of magical damage. Excellent.
And now this creature has Hunter's Mark cast on it.
Excellent. Yeah, as it goes from one edge of the hallway and extends its fingers and drains some life from you, you are able to slash out with your Hunter's Mark dagger and get a it's this weird feeling of it going right through and almost feels like it's not doing anything, but then you hear it as you swipe. It's this very unsatisfying feeling of like I hit this thing, but it feels like I didn't hit it, but it's reacting like I hit it, so I guess good. As it flies through the wall. Moving forward into the next chamber. A chamber very similar to the one before in the shape and size of the room. This one has 4 ice sculptures on circular bases. As you enter the room, you see each of them, each with a finger pointed out towards the center of the room, where there's an altar with a stone button. Closest to the entrance on the left is a knightly-looking sculpture on a knee, wounded, but still holding his shield strong in the left arm, head slightly bowed, looking towards the center with a finger out-pointed. The whole sculpture itself all completely in ice, but the shield itself is a real item. To his right, as you enter, just off to the right, a powerful-looking wizard figure, all in ice, stands holding between two fingers a pearl, pointing with his free hand towards the center. Ahead of him, still on the right, closer to the far entrance, opposite of the room, the entrance that you've just entered, is a clerical-looking figure in exquisite robes, and in the palm of his hand holds an exquisite-looking potion and points to the center. Across from that clerical figure on the left is a shirtless, brooding-looking figure, carved in muscles and all, with a fist clenched, poised to run forward, a finger pointed out towards the center. Within the fist, a real ring is adorning one of the fingers. The pearl on the wizard, also a real item. The exquisite-looking potion, a real item for the clerical figure. Roll a perception check as you enter this room.
That's an 11, sir.
That is a nat 20, sir.
18.
15.
Easy enough. As you enter the room, you see that there's writing on this altar in the center that they all seem to be pointing at. Writing similar to what has been seen before in the previous room on the entrance of the door. But looking around in the room, at the entrance that you've come in, you see poised above the doorway is a familiar sight. Poised to strike a crystalline spider. It startles you at first as you see it, thinking it's ready to pounce at you. But then you realize it's frozen in time. Only a sculpture of the real thing, poised to strike at this other icy party. But with that, we're going to take a break. All right, guys, we got some more dungeon to crawl, so stick around. We got our little halftime show. Hope you guys have enjoyed it so far. There's still a little bit more to go, so let's see if they can give some time to stew over what this could possibly mean, and hopefully come back with a solution, maybe. Hopefully not that quick. Jeez, probably not. There's gonna be this one's a little arbitrary. We'll see. All right, guys, stick around. Let me say, Lexi, thank you for the 5 gifted community subs. You're amazing. Murdoch Nerdoc, thank you for following. We have a character named Murdoch right now. He's leading the party through this icy tomb. Welcome to the show. Stick around. We got a fun little halftime to show, and we'll be right back. We'll be back in like 12 to 15.